A violent storm on Monday afternoon has left a trail of destruction in Empangeni in KwaZulu-Natal. The storm caused severe damage to homes, shopping centres as well as vehicles. eNCA's Nqobile Madlala is monitoring clean-up operations and relief efforts this morning. She joins us now for more. Good morning, Nqobile. Just before we get to mop-up operations, can you just give us a sense of the extent of the damage from last night?
As we were driving this way, we've seen trees blocking roads. We've seen some of the areas so damaged and others not so much as damaged, but a lot of work, especially when it comes around the roads, people's houses. We've seen also some of the walls being affected. And now we are seeing even companies that are also affected. You see here, this is just a lot of other damages that we have noticed as we are driving around. So you can see there are some people that are trying to pull everything together. Some areas more affected than others. And so I'm going to ask this gentleman that is here, who's of course estimating the sort of damage that has taken place here. Justin Rollo, we found you here looking with the owner in terms of how bad the situation is. Perhaps just estimate for us, how bad is the situation?
The situation is quite bad. Last night, like I said, we had a heavy storm that rushed through Empangeni. This particular building behind me, we're estimating probably about anything about 1 million to 2 million rands worth of damage. And of course, this isn't the only building around Richards Bay, Empangeni. The Sanlam Centre's roof has also collapsed, game has collapsed. So yeah, we've got a lot of work, our work cut out for us. But our game now is to try and help our clients to try and get their businesses up and running. As I said, my client behind me here has pretty much lost everything inside his warehouse. Yeah.
And I mean, surely this should be very violent for a storm to take off the entire roof.
Correct. My personal opinion, and also what I've been hearing from other people telling me, they were suspecting maybe like a light tornado that came through here last night. Myself personally, in the storm, I jumped in, I came to town to try and see what was going on, and you couldn't even see the road. That's how bad it was. There was also light hail and heavy hail that came through. On the outskirts of Empangeni, we've got all the locations as well, like Nqobile, Empangeni, Machana. Those also took heavy damages. I do know there was 2 people rushed to hospital after a building collapsed or a structure collapsed somewhere closer to the Five Ways Spa Centre. So they were taken to hospital last night. They're also in critical condition, but we can just pray to God that they do come through. Yeah.
And tell me, now that you are looking at what's happening, what sort of help do people here need?
Look, right now we need to get people's business up and running. There's going to be people sitting without work for probably a couple of weeks. I estimate this building behind me, it's almost 2,000 squares. I'm going to try and get this building up and covered within the next 2 to 3 days so that the business owner can reopen the shop. So not to keep people sitting at home so that people can still earn an income, that sort of thing.
Do we know how many people were working here?
Myself personally, I don't know, but I'll probably reckon about 15 people itself. So that's 15 families that are going to bear the brunt of the storm.
And you were speaking to the owner. How is he feeling?
The owner is, there's no words to describe the pain that he's going through. But like I said, we're just here to help. That's my main course. This isn't it's not a money-making thing for me. For me, it's just trying to get businesses up and going. I do a lot of community work as well.
Thank you very much, Justin, for speaking to us. Well, we did try to speak to the owner, and the owner did say that he doesn't feel like he can speak to us at this point. But of course, this is the damage that we're talking about, and we can see that people are already mopping up. If you look at that number that Justin is speaking about, is saying pretty much everything in this warehouse is now lost. As you can see, most of it was in the water, still swamped in the water. You can see some of the fridges still covered, but in the water. Everybody's trying to mop up and see what happens here. There's a lot that still needs to be worked on, not just the roof, but also electricity. You will remember that water can affect most of the appliances that needs electricity, but also the electricity within the space. Nobody will want to buy something that has been this damaged. So the owner is saying that he's still just sort of estimating what he needs to look into, which is why he was having someone like Justice, who is working on the roofing itself, to sort of look how far the damage is. And we are hearing from Justin, of course, that some people were rushed to hospital. There were those reports with the idea that It's still yet to be confirmed. We know that the mayor, as well as the local officials, are already also on the ground looking at the estimated damages, because there are homes as well in the area that have been affected. And now workers are just trying to make sure that they have work to do after this.
Just judging by these visuals, the damage is extensive. We fully understand why the owner would not be in a position to speak right now. He would most certainly be at a loss for words. Thank you very much for that update. We'll catch up with you a bit later when you get in touch with the mayor. That's our reporter, Nqobile Madlala, out in KZN for us this morning.